Hey, what's going on again, everybody? John here with Knight Shining Armor Paint Correction, Ceramic Coatings, and Detailing. Today we have another installment of the DIY Tuber series. In this particular installment, we're going to be talking about industry myths. And I couldn't come up with just one. Well, let me rephrase that. I couldn't just pick one. I had to pick several because I figured that just touching on one would be too short of a video. So we're going to touch on a couple. One of the things that I find that is a myth of the industry is that we're all miracle workers, that we can remove anything, any stain from any interior. You can neglect your vehicle for 5 years and bring it to a detailer, and he can make it, or she can make it look brand new. And well, that might be true 85% of the time, if you're lucky. There have been vehicles that I have quoted, that I have sat in, that have been dropped off that I wasn't told were as neglected as they were, that I've had to requote. I've priced myself out of details because I wanted no part of them, because they were just completely. I remember once, and I said this when Ivan and Nick interviewed all of us at the beginning of this series of competition, that I said that I had been in a vehicle that I actually got out of it and threw up. And I'll touch on that a little bit. What happened is someone booked an appointment, said their car had been neglected, but it wasn't that bad. That, it had been through hell, but, they felt I could, take care of it. They dropped it off on a, Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was, very close to closing time, about 4 o'clock. It's about 85 degrees outside. And I wasn't going to get started until the next day. And when I opened the door and looked in the vehicle, not only was I stunned, it's like, oh my God. But once I got in it, if you've ever been near a dumpster and you've smelled what that can smell like, this thing smelled like rotten milk, rotten everything. It smelled like the bottom of a dumpster. It really did. So by the time I pulled it from the front of the shop to the rear, at that time, the shop that we were in, the bays were in the back, and I pulled it around back and I got out, and from being in the heat and everything, I got out, I coughed a few times, and then I threw up. Probably the most disgusting vehicle I've ever been in. And I've been in a few. And that was probably the worst one. So we cannot clean everything. I personally have a vehicle that I've owned for almost 25 years. And in my younger years, I spilled a Pepsi or Coke or whatever it was. And when I opened my shop, I was like, I need to get this stain out now that I have, the wherewithal and knowledge, and I'm older and all the good stuff. I tried everything known to man, and I have found out that the syrup from that stain has actually stained the black carpet a little bit brown. So I know the only way to fix it is to go get some carpet dye, which I'm going to do later this year. Maybe I'll make a video on it. But that's one of the myths of the industry, that we are miracle workers and we can clean anything and make anything look brand new. And that's true to an extent, but not always the case. Another coating myth is that the most expensive products are the best. That's not always true. I've got a bunch of cheap products that we use that work awesome. But, generally speaking, you might get what you pay for. But, and that comes in terms of tools. So sometimes, you get what you pay for. But in terms of chemicals, the most expensive chemicals are not always the best. And then one more myth I want to touch on is that, I take my car to a tunnel wash. It's just as good as taking it to a detailer and letting him wash the outside. That couldn't be further from the truth. We all know this, especially in the industry, how much of a myth that is, that, anybody can take their vehicle to a car wash and that'll be just as good as a detailer. And we all know that those cloths in the car wash, pick up all the dirt, grime, mud, sand, whatever from other vehicles, especially the wheels and tires, and they actually scratch the clear coat as they go down the side of the vehicle, which is why we're in business in the first place, because those car washes are awful on your vehicle. You know, that's another big industry myth. And it sucks when these myths get started because they're so hard to break, you know, the reality of it, excuse me. You know, just like coatings are snake oil. I guess I want to touch on another one. I guess I'm on a roll. I'm going to keep going. You know, there's the myth that coatings are snake oil and blah, 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 blah. And well, if you don't prep it right, you know, I'm not exactly 100% sure what the stat is, but I think 90% or greater of all coating failures are from the preparation or lack thereof. If you don't take the proper steps to prep a painted surface for a coating, it's not going to last. It's going to fail. You know, you could buy the most expensive coating in the world, and if you half-ass prep it, it's not going to last. You don't use panel prep, or if it's a C6 coating, you don't use the APP prior to putting the coating on. If you're expecting a lifetime coating and it fails in 3 years because you didn't use the APP because you skipped a step, well, that's not on C6. That's on you. That's on you, the installer. So that's another myth. What about you guys out there? What are some of the myths that, you know, you guys have come up with or have heard or have found out that would love to share? I would love to hear it in the comments below. And if you haven't yet and you like these videos, please hit the like button and hit subscribe so you can get all the notifications when we release a new video. And just a little bit on a Texas update. We're about 80% in Texas. We're living in Texas. And here in the next week or so, start putting together maybe some videos when I start really narrowing down where I want to put my shop, because that hasn't been done yet. I wanted to wait till we had a place to lay our heads to make sure that we had a place to lay our heads. And now the fun begins. I've got a few ideas in places I want to go look at about where to put the shop. And if I can film that, I will. But if the realtor or the owner is, doesn't like that idea, then I won't, but I will be sure to share that all with you. Once again, my name is John. We are Knight and Shining Armor Paint Correction, Ceramic Coatings and Detailing, now located in the general Frisco, Texas area. We will see you in the next video. Have a great weekend, everybody. See y'all soon.